Breaking, have you seen these three men? Chicago police just released new surveillance video hoping to find the gunman who shot and killed a 12-year-old girl on the way home from her own birthday party. City pod cameras captured these images of the killers back on March 1st.
We all know the streets of Chicago can be a mean place and not somewhere you would want to be caught off guard, wrong place at the wrong time. Well, this one is exactly that. The story of King Von's dad, Silk from Ada Park. Walter E. Bennett, also known as Silk, was born on October 28, 1974, and was later killed during a drug deal gone wrong on July 31, 2005, which would only make King Von 11 years old. Silk, just like Von, was well respected in the streets, and a big-time drug dealer in his area, always lining his pockets when there was money to be made. Silk was part of the Black Disciples set in Chicago. Some people have tried to claim he was actually a GD, known as the Gangster Disciples, but the people closest to Silk heavily implied he was BD above anything else and represented his neighborhood, Ada Park. Being a big-time drug dealer in Chicago, money wasn't ever a problem to Silk, and for that reason you can assume there was a lot of jealousy among his enemies and possibly even his peers. The people closest to Silk would talk about how he was crazy big on respect and loyalty, and for that same reason he kept a small circle of friends and family he could trust. This is Chicago, and you never know when somebody's gonna crank open that back door. Just like his son, Silk was known to not take kindly to disrespect, and for that reason, he became feared, but also highly respected. Clearly, the apple didn't fall too far from the tree. Looking at Von and how he would carry himself, respond to disrespect.
Saying who killed who and all that ain't true. You'll be in jail. See, I can't believe that. Then they be giving all the lame niggas all the bodies and shit. Like, Wooski, he ain't like that. I'm gonna go ahead and put it out there like that. He ain't killed nobody. And if he did, it was a little boy from somewhere else, and he bogus for doing that. You see what I'm saying?
But also how he would look out for the people closest to him. Silk wasn't always around in Von's early life, but it's not because he didn't want to be around. This is somebody who had grown up in the streets and always been around that life. Silk had a family to provide for, which by what his closest circle said about him, he would do by selling drugs and busting plays. Looking at King Von's adult life, we can assume he didn't harbor any hate or animosity due to his father's absence, since Von would frequently post about his dad on social media, and also mention him in a song where he says, "Rest in peace to Silk from Ada Park. That was the older me."
Rest in peace to Silk from Ada Park. That was the older me.
Just looking at photos of Silk from his time when he was still alive, you can see how him and Von are spitting images of each other. Not only by looks, but also their traits and how they both always kept their heads on a swivel. Silk was clearly hungry for success and doing everything that he could to make a better life for him and his family. But it's a well-known fact of life that the drug game is bound to catch up with you sooner than later, which would also ring true for Silk. Silk would be in and out of jail, which would only contribute to his absence in his kids' lives and not being there to watch them grow up. Silk, just like Von, was used to jail. Jail wasn't nothing to him except a free roof to live under, and finally seeing his locked-up homeboys again. Even in jail, Silk was highly respected. This is because it didn't matter who it was or what it was about. He would stand his ground regardless the circumstance, and run the fade with whoever for whatever reason if he felt challenged or disrespected. It's been said Silk had a very stringent relationship with King Von's mom, Tanisha, due to him being so absent. The circumstances around the relationship between the two is not fully known, and it likely never will be. One can only make assumptions about their relationship, and if there was any unfaithfulness or arguments about money, jail, and all of the other street activities he was involved in around that time. But maybe there was more to Silk's absence than prioritizing the streets, making money, and gangbanging. It's possible that he knew his way of living could bring trouble and unwanted attention to his family and kids, and for that reason, he kept his distance at certain times. Which brings us to the most controversial part of his life, his death. The fact that Silk died in a drug deal gone bad is something everyone can agree on, but the manner that he died in has been a conflict of interest for many. One day, almost like any other day in Chicago for Silk, he was gonna go through with a drug deal. Some people have speculated and said this drug deal would be done through a friend of Silk that was linked to a different set, while others say this person had no closely related ties to him at all. Silk had planned to meet this other individual at the rink in Chicago, and supposedly, this is where Silk was shot and killed in the alleyway you are seeing on your screen. Now, for a while, it was said that Silk was shot in the head by a sniper rifle from the roof, or a nearby window, which sounds crazy. But around the time of Silk's death, it wasn't that uncommon to hear about stories from the projects where the police were scared to enter certain areas and neighborhood projects due to them having gunmen in the windows and on the roof. But a reliable BD source, and somebody who knew Silk personally, put this to bed by saying, Silk wasn't killed by no goddamn sniper rifle. He said that Silk had gotten down on somebody over some work or bricks that he hadn't paid Silk back for. And the day of the drug deal, the person who Silk had smacked up caught him off guard by the back alley of the rink in Chicago, and essentially killed him right there on the spot with what most likely would be a handgun, and not anything even close to a full-fledged sniper rifle. But either way, Silk died instantly on scene. Now, whether somebody who knew Silk was going to the rink that day to do this drug deal had given his location up, or if it was at complete random, we may never know. However, judging by how sharp and adaptive Silk was to the street life, it's hard to believe there wasn't any foul play involved for him to be caught off guard in a way like this and lit up. Unfortunately, this is just another one of those stories where somebody real respected ends up dead due to jealousy, hate, and envy. To conclude Silk's life, he was super respected in his neighborhood and known to be a demon in the streets, but a blessing to the ones who stood him close. And even if he, like Vaughn, and a lot of these other kids who grew up in the south side of Chicago, was tormented to an extent, he was a real loyal dude who cared about his friends and family and wanted to make a better life for everybody he loved.